Let me turn now to the chair of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus. Welcome back to Meet the Press.
Hey,
Chairman.
good morning, David.
I want to pick up on this point, on this comparative nature of this campaign.
Sure.
Campaigns are tough. They've already gotten tough. How do you respond to Mr. Axelrod on the moral core question for Mitt Romney?
Well, for the first time I've seen David tongue-tied. I think he's living in an alternative universe here. You know, what this race is going to come down to, David, are a couple things. One, the president made some promises. He made some pretty big promises, and you talked about them. He made some promises in regard to the debt, which he didn't fulfill. He made some big promises in regard to the deficit. He said he'd cut the deficit in half by the end of his first term, and what did he do? He passed, or he put forward, the biggest structural deficit in the history of America. Now, here's to your point. What I think is going to be the bigger problem for this president. People in this country don't think that this president's real anymore. He's not genuine anymore. He came to this country, across this country as a candidate, and he promised to be the great uniter, David. He was going to be different. He was going to bring everyone together. He was going to listen to the debt commission. You remember that? But guess what? Now he's going out around America, and you just heard David talk about it, as the great divider.
Well,
he wants to turn this country into the divided states of America. That is the Obama strategy, and you just heard it.
All right, first of all, it is difficult when you have the Senate leader of the Republicans saying that his goal is to make him a one-term president. You got to admit, it's hard to become a uniter in those circumstances.
Well, listen, we're living under the economy we're living under right now. I mean, this absurdity that somehow we're hurting as an economy because of Republicans, it doesn't appeal to anyone's logic because of this. Nancy Pelosi controlled the Congress for 2 out of the 3 years that President Obama's been president. Harry Reid controlled the Senate for 2 of those 3 years. Guess what? We are living under the Barack Obama Democratic policies today.
And the Democratic economy, but there is some good news. 8.6% unemployment now. Here's some of the other good news in the economy as you look at it, particularly can be argued from the Democratic point of view. 140,000 private sector jobs created in November. Sales of existing homes rose 10.4% in October. Federal Reserve reported growth in 11 of its 12 bank regions. The Dow closed up 490 points on Wednesday. Do you not worry, as some conservative commentators have said, that if this trend continues, could be difficult for a Republican nominee revolving their campaign around a troubled economy?
President Obama's poll numbers are worse than Jimmy Carter's poll numbers. For the first time in his presidency, he's waking up this morning wishing that his poll numbers were as good as Jimmy Carter's. You know why?
That's actually out of context, because you had a spike that Carter had around the Iran hostage issue. Mostly they were lower than where President Obama is.
People's opinions of this president couldn't be any lower. This president is not fooling the American people.
I'm asking about
and I'm going to respond to data. I mean, we all know, and you put the statistics up before, that the reason the actual percentage of people filing with the Department of Labor went down was because 300,000 people threw up their hands and said, guess what? This economy is so bad that I'm not even going to file a piece of paper with the Department of Labor. Now, we all know that that's true. I mean, the reality is, everything that this president has touched, everything he's touched has not turned out to go very well. Everything he touched has gotten worse. Now, the debt commission, he didn't follow it. Super committee, he's out campaigning. He was nowhere to be found. Healthcare costs, he said that Obamacare would make everything better in regard to healthcare. It would lower the cost of healthcare. Guess what? Costs are higher. Debt is higher. The deficits are higher. This president has been a disaster to this country.
Let me just button up one